nights, truths on the run. Buried secrets were the ones who dig them up for fun. Headstones in the graveyard where stories reside. We bring back headlines, no place to hide. Try to cover it, but we'll find the trace. Shadows and whispers, no escape from this place. Headstones and headlines, where the truth collides. We'll expose the lies. There's no way to hide. From the dirt to the grit, we'll make it clear. True crime uncovered, it's why we're here. The headline tells a tale of deceit. From the grave to the page, the truth reads. Cold cases, long leads, nothing gets by. We turn the stones, leave no questions why. You can run, but we're hard on the trail. Every secret's revealed, no matter how stale. Headstones and headlines, where the truth collides. We'll expose the lies. There's no way to hide. From the dirt to the grit, we'll make it clear. True crime uncovered, it's why we're here. In the dark of the night, we bring it to light. Every crime, every lie, every fight. No stone left unturned, no truth left unsaid. We write the headlines from the graves of the dead. Headstones and headlines, where the truth collides. We'll expose the lies. There's no way to hide. From the dirt to the grit, we'll make it clear. True crime uncovered, it's why we're here. Headstones and headlines, where the stories remain. We dig 'em up, we feel their pain. The truth is out, the case is closed, but our search for justice never slows.
Hey everyone, thanks for being here. It looks like there's a lot of people live, so I don't expect a lot of people, but that's okay. This was not a planned live, but as I was thinking about this case, and listening to the press conference from yesterday where the Attorney General had said, this is, stuff of nightmares. And I couldn't agree more. This is, the fact that this guy, this Vance, I can't remember his last name for the life of me. Let me look it up. Vance Boelter, had this extravagant plan and this list of several lawmakers, I believe it included Tim Walz, is like just scary. And thankfully, they were able to catch the guy, and all because of people who, when they saw something, they said something. So I did see Lunatic Farmer was here very early, actually just after I scheduled the live. So hopefully she'll be able to make it. Ninja was also here just about an hour or so ago. So hopefully we'll get more people. Because, I'm going to have people saying, oh, she only had this many people in her live. Well, if I was talking about insects, I probably would have a lot more people. But, it really saddens me that our country is, what's the word? Our country is split right now. And there's so many important things happening in the world, the country, and, there's not a lot of people talking about it. It's really sad. Really sad. So we are going to get started. I am going to start with a New York Times article, and then we have the press conference from yesterday. I'm only going to play the part where the state attorney general speaks. The link to the full press conference, if you should want to hear it, is in the link or in the description of this live. So definitely check that out. If you are here on the replay, #replay. All right, let me get to the right screen here. And while I'm getting to the right screen, in honor of Juneteenth, which is Thursday, I did change my background to represent the colors of Juneteenth. What article did I want first? Here it is. This is what I wanted. Alrighty. Add. All right. So it says suspect plan to inflict fear with wider killing spree, prosecutors say. Hey, Sinner. The man accused of assassinating one state lawmaker in Minnesota and shooting another. Wait a minute. Oh, because, okay, so they're not including the spouse. He assassinated 2 people in Minnesota and shot another 2 people, including a lawmaker. He could face the federal death penalty, which I hope he does. He tried to attack 2 other officials and had many more on a hit list. So this is the latest information. The man accused of killing a Minnesota lawmaker and wounding another in a campaign to, quote, inflict fear, made a first appearance in federal court on Monday as the authorities described what they said were plans to carry out a wider killing spree aimed at Democratic politicians. Hey, Green. I lost my spot. The suspect, Vance Boelter, 57, faces federal murder charges in the attack that killed the Minnesota state lawmaker and her husband. Those charges could allow for the death penalty. This was a political assassination, which is not a word we use very often in the United States. Joseph H. Thompson, the acting U.S. attorney for the District of Minnesota, said during a news conference in Minneapolis. Mr. Boelter was being held at the Hennepin County Jail in downtown Minneapolis. In his court appearance on Monday, he was alert and direct and made no eye contact with members of the public. The judge set a preliminary hearing for June 27th. Oh, so that's Friday? Next Friday? Yeah, next Friday. Mr. Boelter had already been charged by state prosecutors with 2 counts of second-degree murder for the fatal shootings of Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark, and 2 counts of attempted second-degree murder for shooting and wounding State Senator John A. Hoffman and his wife Yvette. Hey, Nanny. The manhunt. Mr. Boelter was captured late Sunday in the largest manhunt in Minnesota's history across a rural area southwest of Minneapolis, investigators said. He later confessed in a written note to the attacks, according to an FBI affidavit. Law enforcement officials found his car and hat in Sibley County on Sunday. SWAT drones tracked him crawling through brush, and he surrendered near Green Isle, Minnesota, a town where he had a home with his wife and children. The victims. Ms. Hortman served as Speaker of the Minnesota House for 6 years and helped pass key legislation on abortion rights, marijuana legalization, and medical leave. Mr. Hoffman, a 4th-term state senator, leads the Senate's Human Services Committee. He and his wife were recovering, Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota said on Sunday. In between Mr. Boelter's visits to Ms. Hortman and Mr. Hoffman's homes, he visited 2 other lawmakers, authorities said. State Senator Ann Rest, a Democrat from suburban Minneapolis, said in a statement that she was told that Mr. Boelter was parked near her home on Saturday. She thanked the New Hope Police Department for its heroic work, saying, "Their quick action saved my life." State prosecutors are also expected to seek charges of first-degree murder, which would require a grand jury indictment and carry a mandatory sentence of life without the possibility of parole, the Hennepin County attorney said on Monday. The suspect had a notebook that mentioned about 70 potential targets, some in neighboring states, including politicians, civic leaders, and Planned Parenthood centers, according to law enforcement officials. This guy, man. Oh, I can't. This is going to bring me. Okay, so this is going to bring me to another. Not there just yet. All right, so we're going to get to the press conference next, which was held yesterday. As I had said, I am only going to play the first 10 minutes-ish. The remainder was the FBI, someone from the FBI. I don't remember who else. But the link for the full press conference is in the description of this video if you should wish to watch that. I will mute during this and then we'll come back.
Good morning. My name is Joe Thompson, and I'm the acting United States Attorney for the District of Minnesota. Late last night, the U.S. Attorney's Office filed a complaint bringing an array of federal charges against Vance Boelter for his horrific attack on our state and our elected representatives. Political assassinations are rare. They strike at the very core of our democracy. But the details of Boelter's crime are even worse. They are truly chilling. It is no exaggeration to say that his crimes are the stuff of nightmares. Boelter stalked his victims like prey. He went to their homes, held them out as a police officer, and shot them in cold blood. Now, there's been a lot of information and misinformation out there about Boelter's crimes. We have filed a detailed 20-page complaint and affidavit that sets forth what happened in this case. I'd like to share some of that information with you now. In the early morning hours of June 14th, Boelter went to the homes of 4 Minnesota state politicians with the intent to kill them. Boelter first traveled to the home of Minnesota State Senator John Hoffman in Champlin, Minnesota. Boelter arrived at the senator's home disguised as a police officer. He arrived in a black SUV with emergency lights turned on and with a license plate that read police. Boelter wore a black tactical vest and body armor. He carried a flashlight and a Beretta 9mm handgun. He also wore a hyper-realistic silicone mask. Senator Hoffman had a security camera. I've seen the footage from that camera, and it is chilling. Boelter knocked on Senator Hoffman's front door and repeatedly shouted, "This is the police, open the door." Senator Hoffman and his wife, Yvette, came to the door. When they opened the door, Boelter shined the flashlight in their faces and said there had been a shooting reported in the house. Boelter asked if they had any weapons. When Boelter lowered his flashlight, which he had shined in their face, they realized that he was not a police officer. They shouted out, "You're not a cop. You're not a police officer." Boelter then announced, "This is a robbery," and forced himself into their home. When Senator Hoffman attempted to push Boelter out and stop him from entering his home, Boelter shot him repeatedly. Boelter then shot Miss Hoffman repeatedly. Boelter fled the scene, and the Hoffman's daughter called 911. Unfortunately, the Hoffmans survived, although they remain hospitalized. After shooting Senator Hoffman and his wife, Boelter traveled to the home of another Minnesota state representative in Maple Grove, Minnesota. Video surveillance showed that Boelter rang the doorbell at the state representative's house at approximately 2:24 a.m. on Friday night. Again, he was dressed as a law enforcement officer, wearing a tactical vest and body armor, carrying a handgun and a flashlight, and wearing that same hyper-realistic silicone mask. Again, the images, as you can see on the screen, are haunting. Now, fortunately, the state representative was not home. She and her family were gone on vacation, and so Boelter left. Boelter then traveled to the home of a Minnesota state senator who lived in New Hope, Minnesota. He parked in the street in that same black SUV with the police license plate. At about 2:36 a.m. on Friday night, after learning of the shooting of Senator Hoffman, New Hope police dispatched an officer to conduct a wellness check on the state senator who lived in New Hope. When the New Hope officer arrived at the scene, she saw Boelter's black SUV parked down the block with the lights on. The New Hope police officer believed that Boelter was a police officer who had been dispatched to the scene to check on the status of the state senator. The New Hope police officer pulled up next to Boelter in his car, rolled down her window, and attempted to speak with him. Boelter did not respond. According to the officer, he just sat there and stared straight ahead. So the New Hope police officer, who had been dispatched to the scene, proceeded to the state senator's home, and she waited for other law enforcement to arrive. When they did, by the time they did, Boelter had left the scene. Boelter then traveled to Brooklyn Park, Minnesota, in the home of Minnesota State Representative Melissa Hortman. At approximately 3:30 a.m., Boelter arrived at Representative Hortman's house in his black SUV with the police license plates. He parked in the driveway and left the emergency lights on his SUV flashing as if he was a police officer. Boelter approached Representative Hortman's home, again dressed as a police officer, wearing the tactical vest and body armor, and wearing that hyper-realistic mask. He was armed and carrying a flashlight. Before he entered the home, 2 Brooklyn Park police officers arrived at the scene. They too had been dispatched to check on Representative Hortman after learning of the shooting of Senator Hoffman. When they arrived at the scene, they saw Boelter's black SUV parked in the driveway with the emergency lights flashing, and they saw Boelter standing in front of the house several feet from the door. When Boelter saw the officers get out of the car, he drew his weapon and began firing. He rushed into the house through the front door, firing into it. He repeatedly fired into the house. And when he entered, he murdered Representative Hortman and her husband, Mark. The Brooklyn Park police officers fired at Boelter as he rushed into the home, but he escaped into the home and out the back. Officers recovered Boelter's 9mm Beretta, along with the body armor and the mask, behind the home along his path of flight when he fled on foot. They later searched Boelter's car, where they found 5 more firearms, including assault-style rifles and a large quantity of ammunition. Boelter also had in his car notebooks containing a list of more than 45 Minnesota state and federal elected officials, including Representative Hortman. Now, Boelter planned his attack carefully. He researched his victims and their families. He used the internet and other tools to find their addresses and names, the names of their family members. He conducted surveillance of their homes and took notes about the location of their homes. He also prepared in other ways. He concealed himself as a police officer, outfitting his black SUV with police lights and a police license plate, wearing a black tactical vest and body armor, carrying a police flashlight and a handgun. And of course, he wore that hyper-realistic silicone mask as seen on the surveillance videos. The video of his arrival and shooting of Senator Hoffman is truly chilling. Again, it's no exaggeration to say this is the stuff of nightmares. There's a photo of the firearms found in Boelter's abandoned SUV. Based on these crimes, we brought a federal complaint charging Boelter with an array of federal charges. Counts 1 and 2 charge him with stalking. Count 1 charges him with stalking Representative Melissa Hortman using interstate facilities. And that's Title 18, United States Code 2261. The statutory penalties there are life in prison. Count 2, similarly, charges him with stalking State Senator John Hoffman using interstate facilities. The maximum penalty of that count is 20 years in prison. Counts 3 and 4 charge Boelter with the murder of Melissa and of the Hortmans using a firearm, but in violation of 18 USC 924J. And these are punishable by a term of life imprisonment or even death. And counts 5 and 6 charge him with shooting the Hortmans and the Hoffmans using a firearm, and both of those counts also carry a maximum sentence of life in prison. Now, before I finish my remarks, I want to say a little bit about law enforcement and the manhunt that we've heard about the last 2 days. Over the past 48 hours, federal, state, and local law enforcement from throughout the state of Minnesota have worked together to carry out the largest manhunt in Minnesota history. Now, a lot has been said about law enforcement in recent weeks, but make no mistake, the men and women of our federal, state, and local law enforcement put their lives at risk and on the line to keep Minnesota safe. They work tirelessly, day and night, to make sure that the tragic events of Friday night ended without further violence or bloodshed. We owe them all a debt of gratitude, and they will forever have my respect and admiration.
All right, so the full press conference link is in the description of this video if you should wish to watch it. There was about 20 minutes left, but for time reasons, I thought that was the most important to hear. So speaking of affidavits, I do have a copy of the federal and state, and thank you to Sinner for sending me that yesterday, or maybe it was early this morning. I'm not entirely sure. So we will go with, let's see, we'll do the federal first and then we'll get to the state. So United States District Court for the District of Minnesota. United States of America versus Vance Luther. And I think he said Boelter. I was saying Boelter, but I think it's Boelter. I was mispronouncing it. So criminal complaint. I, the undersigned complainant, being duly sworn, state the following is true and correct to the best of my knowledge and belief. Count 1, stalking of Melissa Hortman, use of interstate facilities. On or about June 14th, 2025, in the state and district of Minnesota and elsewhere, Boelter, the defendant, with the intent to kill, injure, harass, intimidate, and place under surveillance, with intent to kill, injure, harass, and intimidate another person, used an interactive computer service, electronic communication service, and electronic communication system of interstate commerce and a facility of interstate or foreign commerce to engage in a course of conduct that placed that person in a reasonable fear of the death of and serious bodily injury to that person and that person's spouse, and in the course of engaging in such conduct, caused the death of that person and that person's spouse, to wit, Boelter used a GPS navigation system, interstate wires, and the internet to plan and carry out the stalking, shooting, and killing of Melissa Hortman and Mark Hortman in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota, all in violation of Title 18, United States Code, Sections 2261A2A and 2261B1. Count 2, stalking of John Hoffman, use of interstate facilities. So that is going to read the same as count 1, only in regards to John Hoffman. Count 3, murder of Melissa Hortman through use of a firearm. On or about June 14th, 2025, in the state and district of Minnesota and elsewhere, Boelter, the defendant, during and in relation to a crime of violence for which he may be prosecuted in a court of the United States, namely, the stalking offense charged in count 1, knowingly used and carried a firearm, and in furtherance of such crimes, possessed a firearm, and in the course of that crime caused the death of a person through the use of a firearm, which killing is murder as defined in Title 18, United States Code, Section 1111A, to wit, Boelter shot and killed Melissa Hortman in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. Count 4, murder of Mark Hortman through use of firearm, and that will read the same as that for Melissa Hortman. Count 5, shooting of Melissa and Mark Hortman, firearms offense. Hey, lunatic. On or about June 14th, 2025, in the state and district of Minnesota and elsewhere, Vance Luther Boelter, the defendant, during and in relation to a crime of violence for which he may be prosecuted in a court of the United States, namely, the stalking offense charged in count 1, knowingly used and carried a firearm, and in furtherance of such crimes possessed a firearm, which was brandished and discharged. Count 6, shooting of John and Yvette Hoffman. That will read the same as that for Melissa and Mark Hortman. I further state that I am an FBI special agent and that this complaint is based on the following facts. See attached affidavit. And there's nothing else attached to it. All right, so let me go over to state of Minnesota. Hey, Angie, thanks for being here. Caudle. So state of Minnesota, county of Hennepin. Oh, we got some redactions there. That's interesting. The complainant submits this complaint to the court and states that there is probable cause to believe defendant committed the following offenses. Count 1, charge murder in the second degree with intent not premeditated. What? How can they say not premeditated? He planned the whole thing out. Although I guess that's probably maybe because they're looking for first-degree murder, but they have to have an indictment from the grand jury in order to do that. But I mean, if you bring a gun and you're stalking and you're wearing a highly realistic mask, latex mask, anyways. So it says maximum sentence 40 years, offense level felony, offense date on or about June 14th, 2025. That on or about June 14th, 2025 in Hennepin County, Minnesota, Vance Luther Boelter, acting with the intent to kill, caused the death of victim 1 using a firearm. Minimum sentence 3 years. Count 2, murder in the second degree with intent, not premeditated. Same sentence, same offense level. That on or about June 14th, 2025 in Hennepin County, Minnesota, Vance Luther Boelter, acting with the intent to kill, caused the death of victim 2 using a firearm. Same minimum sentence. Count 3, murder in the second degree with intent, not premeditated. Maximum sentence half of 40 years. Felony. That on or about June 14th, 2025 in Hennepin County, Minnesota, Vance Luther Boelter, acting with the intent to kill, attempted to cause the death of victim 3 using a firearm. And count 4, murder second degree with intent, not premeditated. That on or about June 14th in Hennepin County, Minnesota, Boelter, acting with the intent to kill, attempted to cause the death of victim 4 using a firearm. And I will say, I am amazed that the Hoffmans survived, because they were shot a total of 17 times between the two of them. 17 times, which if we divide 8 to 9 times they were shot. And they survived, which is amazing. All right, let's see. Okay, so here we go. Statement of probable cause. Complainant has investigated the facts and circumstances of this offense and believes the following establishes probable cause. On or about June 14th, 2025, at approximately 2:05 a.m., Champlin police officers responded to a shooting at a residence in Champlin, Hennepin County, Minnesota. The 911 caller reported that a masked person had come to their door and then shot their parents. Inside the residence, officers found 2 adults, male and female, who had been shot, referred to herein as victim 3 and victim 4. Victim 3 is a state legislator. Video surveillance footage from the exterior of the residence shows a Ford SUV with police-style lights parked in the driveway of the residence. It also showed a man, later identified as defendant Vance Boelter, wearing a mask, a blue shirt, and a police-style tactical vest with a badge and yellow-gripped gun, approached the front door with a flashlight. Defendant knocked on the door and announced himself as a police officer before entering the house and shooting victims 3 and 4. The surveillance footage showed defendant flee the residence and enter the police-style vehicle. Victim 3 and victim 4 are currently alive and remain hospitalized. A short time later, the Brooklyn Park Police Department learned of the shooting in Champlin. Because one of the victims is a state legislator, police proactively sent patrol officers to the home of another state legislator in Brooklyn Park. When officers arrived at approximately 3:35 a.m., they saw the Ford SUV with police-style lights and immediately saw a defendant, still dressed as a police officer, shoot an adult man referred to herein as victim 2 through the open door of the home. Hey, Disillusioned. Police exchanged gunfire with defendant who fled inside the residence before escaping the area. Inside the residence, officers found 2 adults deceased from gunshot wounds. Victim 2 and his wife, Victim 1. Victim 1 is also a state legislator. Officers searched defendant's vehicle, registered to him, and located at least 3 AK-47 assault rifles, a 9mm handgun, as well as a list of names and addresses of other public officials. Officers canvassed the surrounding area and located a ballistic vest, a disassembled 9mm firearm, a mask, and a gold police-style badge. Defendant is the listed purchaser for at least 4 of the recovered firearms. Additionally, investigators spoke with a person familiar with defendant who positively identified him as the man on the Champlin residence surveillance footage. Because defendant has not been apprehended and this case has significant media attention, your complainant requests this warrant be sealed. Complainant as special agent, I would assume, Rachel Nelson. Oh, and it says special agent. Electronically signed. Also signed by the prosecuting attorney, Patrick Lofton. And it looks like they were given the warrant, execute nationwide. This is interesting. It says, since the defendant is already in custody, I order, subject to bail or conditions of release, that the defendant continue to be detained pending further proceedings. Bail, $5 million. Seems a little low. He shouldn't have gotten bail. Defendant fact sheet. All right, they didn't really know much. Male, white. Oh, and then here's just the charges again. All right, so there we go. All right, so we're going to go over to, I have a few, actually 2 clips, and then another article we're going to look at from the New York Times, just to kind of give some more information. And actually, before I go to this video, let me, because some of you may not have seen what he looked like in that surveillance, or the ring camera, I should say, because when they were talking at the press conference, they didn't actually show let me see, I'm trying to find a thing that kind of shows that. They kept like referring to, oh, here is one. All right, open image, and new tab. So this is what he appeared as on Ring camera. And immediately I thought of Freddy Krueger, because his face was kind of shriveled like that. And so it makes sense why he had the flashlight up, or like in their face, so they couldn't tell that he wasn't actually a police officer. But that is very scary. And there was another, they had another angle to it as well. Let me see if I can find that one. Let's see, this one. Oh, this is one I haven't seen before. So here's another angle. It's blurry. Oops. Well, now we can't see it because there's these stinking ads. but like so freaky. So freaky. All right, so let's go back over here.
Nearly 48-hour manhunt, a mass.
Oops, let me start this over. Ugh, come on.
Of law enforcement presence
I
assembled in Green Isle, where Boelter owns a home. Neighbors in that quiet community of just 600 say they couldn't believe this was all unfolding on their doorstep.
I didn't think he'd be dumb enough to come back out here.
Well, he was.
But obviously he did. And today, Joe McCoy spoke with a witness who spotted Boelter and helped police in his arrest. Joe joins us now live from Sibley County. Joe?
Nanny, I don't think he was hired. No, I think he did it on his own fruition. Like, he clearly had some, issues with different politicians. I think it was just, for whatever reason, he had a hit list, and sadly, he was able to take the lives of one of those on his hit list and their spouse.
Well, Julie, down the driveway here is where this manhunt that involved nearly 200 law enforcement officers, including 20 SWAT teams, came to an end. It was in this meadow just before 8 p.m. last night when a woman named Wendy Thomas spotted Boelter and immediately alerted police. Thomas tells me, quite frankly, she could not believe what she was seeing. The 43-hour manhunt for Vance Boelter ended in one fateful moment.
Well, it had to have been about 8 o'clock when I saw him.
Wendy Thomas came to her neighbor Kevin Effort's home to get an address book about 1.7 miles away from Boelter's home as she was pulling out of the...
And so you would think he had ditched his police style vehicle. He had allegedly he paid $900 to a random witness for an e-bike. He had a Buick. He was driving a Buick. He ended up abandoning the Buick and his cowboy hat. And so he was just, less than 2 miles from your home. I would think he would have gotten further away, but he didn't.
The driveway, she saw who everyone had been looking for.
He was walking in this grass, and once I realized that there was no other people here and there was no other vehicles, I started freaking out.
Thomas said Boelter then crouched down, and she raced down the driveway to alert police.
Never would I have thought he was here. I'm still processing it. I'm shocked that it was him. I'm shocked that it all panned out the way that it did.
A lot of my friends here were really nervous about what was going on.
Kevin Efforts owns this property where Boelter was found. From the sky, you can see the path Boelter took as law enforcement says he crawled to them before being arrested.
And you can see where he crawled through, and they brought him out right here. And actually, there's water down in there. So he was crawling through the water.
Efforts and Thomas
He's walking down.
both knew Boelter and his family.
Well, he was always pretty friendly.
Efforts says he had done handyman jobs for them.
He worked a lot. He told me that he worked for a couple companies, had a lot of different jobs. I just couldn't believe that he would do something like this.
Look, when I saw this morning, when I watched this video, you can see exactly where he walked through the water. And then when he was spotted, thank goodness that woman was, just very observant and said, hey, that looks like a person. And then she thought to herself, I don't know if she says it on this clip, but she had said, I thought maybe it was a police officer, but then there was only one of them. So I knew it couldn't have been a SWAT team. So that's when she had, seen another police officer and said, hey, I think there's a guy over there in the culvert. And they were able to apprehend him. So if you see something, say something.
This path in the meadow will hopefully be the start of the path to justice, as the small town of Green Isle may forever be changed by these 43 hours and 1 moment.
I would say most people out here don't even have to ever worry about locking their doors because everybody watches out for everybody. And now that'll change, I'm sure.
Wendy says throughout the day yesterday, it was her opinion that there was no chance that Vance Boelter was still here in Green Isle. So you can imagine the shock and the fear she felt when she spotted Boelter in the meadow. She says when she initially saw him, she thought maybe the man was part of the tactical teams that were going around searching the properties. But when she realized he was alone, she knew that most likely it had to be Boelter. Julie.
I can't even imagine. We were saying throughout the day yesterday, the FBI was offering a $50,000 reward for whoever spotted him and helped them take him into custody. Did she have any thoughts on that? Any contact by the FBI?
Yeah, so I asked Wendy that question specifically during our interview. She says the FBI has not contacted her yet about that $50,000 reward, but she says she would accept it if it was offered to her.
Oh, well-deserved. Absolutely well-deserved. All right. So fascinating and horrifying all at the same time. Thank you so much, Joe.
Yeah. I mean, kudos to that lady. So actually I found this other article. And I had seen this and I forgot to add it earlier. So we'll go to this one next. This is from the New York Post, which, take it for what you will, but they tend to, get some scoop. It says, alleged Minnesota assassin Vance Boelter cries poverty during court appearance, claims he can't afford lawyer despite owning home, 7 cars. 7 cars? That's a lot of cars. Alleged Minnesota assassin Vance Boelter cried poor in court Monday, even while claiming he owns a home and 7 cars. Boelter, 57, arrived in federal court in St. Paul in an orange jumpsuit and slippers and was unshackled as he sat next to a defense lawyer. So this has a screenshot from law enforcement footage showing Vance outside the Hortman home. Oh, so when they got there, here he is. What a psycho. The suspect, accused of shooting dead a state representative and her husband and wounding another local politician and his wife, whined to the judge he can't afford a private lawyer, noting he only had a part-time gig that was bringing in about $540 weekly, according to the outlet. It's not clear what Boelter was doing to earn money. The suspect, who reportedly has 5 kids with his wife, once worked in the food industry, then claimed to pals that he and his spouse had founded a private security firm, but a friend dismissed the notion, saying it was, quote, just some fantasy. And I had heard about the private security firm. That was in another article that I had read, but now a friend's saying it was just fantasy. I don't know. The suspect also copped in court to owning a home and having 7 cars in his name, as well as between $20,000 and $30,000 in his bank accounts. The judge asked the federal public defender's office to look into the accused killer's financial situation, but agreed it is unlikely he can afford a defense lawyer. Boelter of Green Isle is facing federal and state charges tied to the murder of former Democratic House Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark in the shooting of Senator John Hoffman and his wife, Yvette, early Saturday. It's so creepy. He was held without bail with a detention hearing set for later this month, and it is the 27th, which is next Friday. Federal prosecutors at the hearing had called Boelter's alleged crime extremely serious as they requested the alleged shooter stay behind bars. I'm surprised they unshackled him too. I mean, I would have kept him shackled if I was them. In a state court hearing for Boelter held around the same time, a judge set his bail at $5 million on the Minnesota charges against him. He was not in the Hennepin County courtroom for that appearance. Boelter was captured Sunday night after a 2-day manhunt. He allegedly wrote in a manifesto the names of other elected officials in the state he planned on targeting. Let's see. They had something here. Let's see what this notebook says. So this says chilling notebooks found in accused Minnesota assassin Vance Boelter's car detail meticulous planning of twisted attack. Notebooks found. Oh my gosh, I haven't seen this yet. This is new to me. Ugh, these ads, I swear. Come on, we're trying to read. Notebooks found in the car of accused Minnesota assassin Vance Boelter revealed the chilling, meticulous planning he allegedly put into the twisted attack on 2 Democratic lawmakers and their spouses. Images released by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Minnesota show lists of websites used to find the addresses of state and federal elected officials scrawled on a notepad, even noting when the services were free or paid. The notes often identified the home addresses of officials. Oh, so it says finding people, truepeoplesearch.com, truthfinder.com, 3 days free, whitepages.com, money. So it says need name, phone number, or address, information.com, free, people search engine, not free, Spokio, not free, I can't read that, PIPL, money, people finders, service, benverified.com, just enter a name and state. What the heck? Most property records in America are public. That is true. County assessor's webpage, use. Oops, I went too far in. Use something GIS tool. I can't read that. County's parcel information database, city websites, county, if they own property, public info, name, city, state. I'm not sure what it says before that. Addresses.com, yellowpages.com. Type name in, quote, John Doe in Google search engine. More than 45 Minnesota officials were named in the notebooks, according to authorities. Additional notebooks were recovered from a residence where Boelter was renting a room in North Minneapolis. Other photographs taken inside Boelter's car show a shocking cache of assault-style rifles and ammunition. Cops found a GPS inside Boelter's SUV, reportedly containing a, quote, trip history, including the addresses of State Representative Melissa Hortman's house in Brooklyn Park, State Senator John Hoffman's house in Champlin, and the addresses of at least 2 other state officials. And I had read one of them. He had gone to another politician's home prior, but she and her family were on vacation and not home. A search of the area around Hortman's home uncovered a disassembled semi-automatic handgun and at least 3 magazines, a tactical body armor vest, and a flashlight. A latex mask of a bald old man was also found close to Boelter's home, according to a picture shared by the U.S. Attorney's Office. The mask is consistent with what Boelter was spotted wearing in creepy footage taken from security footage on the night of the killings. And I wanted to just see where this one hyperlink went. They had pictures. Oh, they do. All right, so I'm not going to read this, but I am going to just show the picture. So this is what they were showing on the TV screen when the state attorney general was speaking, but we couldn't see anything because they weren't these freaking ads, I swear. So here's the mask that he dumped. And here is mask advertised on one of the websites noted in notebook. So this is the mask that he used. Yeah, super creepy. He had 5 kids, so some of them may have driven, or yeah, that's true. Right, 7 cars would be 5 kids, him and his wife. Oh my goodness. So this is the inside of his abandoned SUV. That looks like a cell phone right there. I mean, just loaded with stuff. Oh, and that was it. All right. So let's go back to this next clip is from yesterday, and it just kind of gives some insight into the text messages that Boelter sent to his wife, and also gives, you know, updates on court and some other things that we haven't heard.
Well, one of the most eye-catching aspects of this manhunt is how the suspect got from Brooklyn Park to Minneapolis and then to Green Isle.
Yeah, everybody was trying to figure out how is he getting around. Well, prosecutors, we learned, are saying that it involved a bus stop meeting, a couple $1,000s, even an e-bike. Fox 9's Paul Bloom is taking us through this part of the story. So, Paul, a lot coming to light here in these federal charges, obviously not as much in the state. You're covering the state side of things. What do we know today?
Yeah, Amy. Yeah, we're at the state, the government, Hennepin County government, and of course the state courthouse. But clearly the legal case in this now focused in the U.S. District Court. But yes, we come through those same court filings. Obviously, been with you all weekend long as the state's largest manhunt unfolded, ending last night. But one of those interesting nuggets that sort of helped us connect all of the dots is he allegedly abandons that security car, that faux-looking police car at the Hortman home on Saturday morning, and then would eventually end up in Green Isle. How does he get there? Well, now we've learned there is this random meeting with a witness at a North Minneapolis bus stop. He wants to buy the person's e-bike for $900 or so. They take the bus back to this person's house. They drain a couple $1,000s out of Boelter's bank account. And for a total of $900, Boelter drives away with an e-bike and that Buick sedan. And that Buick sedan would subsequently be abandoned near his home in Green Isle, which would subsequently lead to his surrender to authorities last evening. But yeah, this random meetup, we don't know how they met. There aren't a ton of details, but they had never met before. $900 got him the car, got him the e-bike. There were some reports that people actually saw him on the e-bike down there in Sibley County. But just one of those interesting, moments in time that help us connect those 43 hours from the deadly attacks to his arrest last night.
Paul, a lot has been said since Saturday when Boelter's wife was stopped by authorities on 169, and now today about the reported communication between Boelter and his family, particularly about the role of Boelter's wife in all of this. What can you tell us there?
Well, we're seeing text messages for the very first time, communication between Boelter and the family while he's on the run. And not surprisingly, investigators quickly got up on Boelter's cell phone. So let's take a look at one of these messages. Boelter allegedly sending to a family group chat that includes his children, quote, "Dad went to war last night. I don't want to say more because I don't want to implicate anybody." And then the second, words are not going to explain how sorry I am for this situation. He writes to his wife, "There's going to be some people coming to the house armed and trigger happy. And quote, I don't want you guys around." Now, law enforcement would eventually stop the wife, the children up in Onamia, about an hour north of the metro. And in the car, it was interesting. They found, said today, $10,000 cash. They found family passports. They found a gun. Yet, there were questions. Why wasn't the wife at all taken into custody, given what was found in that car? The answer we got today was the wife was cooperative. She had the legal right to carry that gun. The story made sense, and then so far they've let the family go. But authorities made clear that if they do find that somebody aided, abetted, helped before, after, during, that they will come back and revisit potential charges against other people. But for now, the wife, the kids, we don't know where they are, but they certainly are not in any sort of custody.
Hey, Paul, we just have a couple of seconds left here, but the one thing that jumped out to me is we knew that Brooklyn Park Police had, they confronted the suspect. What we didn't know was that there was a bit of another interaction between police and the suspect prior to that. Can you let us know a little bit more about that?
Yeah, that was New Hope. He visited the homes of 4 legislators early Saturday morning in New Hope. Word has started to spread that there's been a shooting at the senator's house, Hoffman's house. There's some preemptive checks. And this New Hope officer apparently was heading to that house, and she encounters again that squad-looking car, or the way the charges read, and what we heard.
I agree, Sinner. She was definitely making a run for it. So she either, I don't know, I hate to speculate. To me, it's either she knew he was serious and that he did something wrong and she wanted to get away from him, or she knew what he was capable of. And I don't know, it's just weird, because I feel like if you knew it was your husband who the police were after, or maybe he, they were paranoid, like I don't know. It just seems like they were going to leave and not come back. Yeah, Daddy went to war. It's weird.
We heard during the news conferences, she thought they were law enforcement. She tried to make some contact with them. He ignored her, kept staring straight ahead. She kind of left to go check the house itself. By the time everything else got sorted, that car was gone, Boelter was gone, and then he would continue on, of course, to Brooklyn Park and the tragedy that unfolded at the Hortman house. So going to be some questions about what happened. What did that officer know? Why wasn't she a little bit more curious about that vehicle that would have been out of place at 3 a.m. in New Hope? But yeah, there was that moment in time where perhaps it could have even been thwarted just a little bit sooner.
Yeah, so many details pouring out today.
And while you're there, Paul, we just want to reiterate murder charges. The state charges are murder charges, right?
Second-degree murder charges, second-degree attempted murder charges. The county attorney promising to get an indictment on first degree, which would come with a life sentence here in Hennepin County. But as Mary mentioned, the feds are going to go first.
All right. Paul, thank you for all of those updates. We really appreciate it. Well, the 2 surviving victims of these targeted attacks, Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette, are still recovering. John, we're told, did come out of his final surgery yesterday. Also, we're told that...
I mean, this is like he literally shot them through the door.
Yvette is healing. She says that they were shot a combined 17 times.
Fox 9 has been and will continue to be on top of this developing situation.
Okay, so one thing, I did find, and this is from an Indian newspaper. I don't want to show it because they do have photos of Mr. Boelter, his wife, and his children, who most of the children appear to be under the age of 18. One of them looks close to 18, but they're young kids. 4 daughters, 1 son. Let's see. So I'm just going to read. So this is where I had seen, well, not this article, but they have said that, so it says Boelter, a former member of Governor Tim Walz's Governor's Workforce Development Board, is charged with posing as a police officer in order to launch 2 planned assaults assassinations on state lawmakers early on Saturday morning. The New York Post reports that at around 2 in the morning, Boelter broke into the Champlain residence of State Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette, shooting them both several times and seriously wounding them. And I have read also that Melissa Hortman covered her daughter in order to prevent her from getting hurt, but that is all speculation. It has not been verified. Yeah, true, Center. He just had a lot of cars then. I mean, I would say, looking at the picture, I would say 2 of them, one definitely is driving age, maybe 2, but the other ones are little. Not little, but like, maybe 9, 11. All right, so the suspect later arrived at Melissa Hortman's Brooklyn Park home and shot her and her husband to death. A short gunfire broke out between the suspect and the officers when they arrived on site, but the man was able to escape. According to CNN and ABC News, the suspect, who is thought to be Boelter, left behind a target list that included over 70 names, including prominent Minnesota Democrats like Walz and Representative Ilhan Omar, as well as proponents and providers of abortion. In 2019, Boelter, 57, was named to the Governor's Workforce Development Board of Minnesota, as per an online document. The governor receives workforce-related advice from the board. Boelter is reportedly the CEO of Red Lion Group, based in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Quote, I have been doing projects in the Democratic Republic of Congo in Central Africa for the last 3 years with the Red Lion Group, he wrote on his LinkedIn page in May, stressing that he is currently open to work. Praetorian Guard Security Services, a Minnesota-based business that provides, quote, residential security patrols, end quote, by armed and uniformed guards, according to his website, lists Boelter as Director of Security Patrols. But as we just learned, a friend said it was not true. The website's leadership page features Boelter next to the CEO and president of the business. The website's biography states that he, quote, has been involved with security situations in Eastern Europe, Africa, North America, and the Middle East, including the West Bank, Southern Lebanon, and the Gaza Strip. It states he brings a great security aspect forged by both many on the ground experiences combined. Wait, hold on. That's a lot of words. Let me read that again. He brings a great security aspect forged by both many on the ground experiences combined with training by both private security firms and people in the U.S. military. Boelter has the experience required to, quote, keep your family and property safe, end quote. Okay, so he has, this says he only has 3 daughters, but there's 4 daughters in the picture. Yeah, 4 daughters. Okay, so let me get back down here. So it says, according to Minnesota wedding websites that correspond with their names, 2 of the daughters appear to be married. Additionally, it appears that 2 of the girls' Instagram accounts have Bible quotations in their biographies. So what? Some of Boelter's 5 children, 4 daughters and a son, were homeschooled as indicated by family members' posts. According to reports, Boelter graduated from St. Cloud University with an undergraduate degree in international relations. He then went on to Cardinal Stritch University to receive a master's degree in management and a doctorate in leadership for the advancement of learning and service. Oh, and that was it. That was it of that article. Oh, he preached in the Congo? I didn't see anything about that. But seems like he may have lived in Fantasyland a lot. What was the name of that? Let me look up that company. What was it called? Let me look again. Great. Now I can't. This freaking thing. Red Lion Group. I'm probably not going to be able to find it because everything is about him. And so there's no verification that he actually is such. Oh, here's the website right here. Thank you, Yahoo. It just appears on his LinkedIn profile. And it's saying it's not letting me go to the website of the company because it says it's a security threat to my computer. So we won't be looking at that. But this article from Yahoo does say, great, what in the world is happening? It does say that the website for Redline Group is defunct and the Wayback Machine had no archived pages for it. Boelter recently posted on LinkedIn that he was looking for work. It says on LinkedIn, he wrote that he was CEO of Redline Group for more than 3 years and previously a general manager at 7-Eleven. He also cited experience at Green Corps, Del Monte Foods, Johnsonville Sausage, and Nestle Gerber. A state document listing the Workforce Development Board members refers to him as Dr. Vance Boelter, 7-Eleven. What? Well, he is a doctor. He got his doctorate, but so he and he also has his wife as being an employee of that company as well. I don't know, just very, very strange. Yeah, very educated for sure. All right, so that's all I've got, unless there is something else that someone wants to look up. I did put his next court appearance in my calendar so that I remember to check, because that's actually the 27th is my first official day of summer break. All right, so I'm going to end the poll before I forget. And it looks like the majority of you are in the same. Well, mine is mixed because it's rainy and cloudy. Like, it's more cloudy than rainy. But next week, it's supposed to get up to 90. It's supposed to be close to 90 3 days in a row. It's going to be hotter than Hades. Which I don't mind hot. It's the humidity that is the pain. All right, so the last thing I have, we always end on a good story, is about a bodega in New York that was just approved to have cats. So we'll take a look at this and then we will wrap things up.
A local councilman has introduced a bill to officially make bodega cats legal.
Fox 8's Kendall Green has details on the proposal,
the
which many say is the...
Look at that Torty. She is so cute.
perfect way to keep mice and rats away from the stores.
There you go.
If you ask New Yorkers, bodegas feel more like bodegas with a pet cat around.
It's a cute cat. Comes outside, plays with people pet it all the time.
It's adorable. It's great to have a local bodega cat. My wife loves it. She's going to be stoked when she sees this. So, yeah.
And cats tend to get more love than the workers behind the counter, especially Mia at the bodega on 69th and 2nd, who's featured on a Bodega Cat Instagram account. Councilmember Keith Powers also on Insta.
The bodega without a bodega cat? You got to be kidding me.
Bodega cats are an iconic part of our city. Everybody knows them, loves them, but yet we actually, most people don't know, they're not technically legal.
Powers, running for Manhattan Borough President, isn't catting around with the idea of making them legal. He's introduced his new bill that will also establish a free vaccination program for cats that are registered to bodegas, sharing more about the roles they play inside.
Keeping it clean, getting vermin out of the way. So they actually play a role within the bodega, but we want to make sure they're legal, they're vaccinated, they have all the resources they need to stay healthy, and that they can be healthy inside the store.
Now, shoppers come to this bodega all the time to pick from their variety of flowers here, but when we ask them if they have to choose between the cat and the flowers, well, take a listen to the answer.
Cat. Cat all day.
What are your most favorite reactions you've gotten out of this so far? What did somebody say?
I think somebody just asked me when I'm running for mayor based on this bill. Somebody on Instagram just asked me when I'm running for mayor. No plans at this moment.
Not this time?
Not this time.
Kendall Green, Fox 5 News.
All right, so there we go. Bodega cats. Bodega cats. See you, Angie. Thanks for hanging out. So I did actually, before today's live, I did look up to see, I check like every few hours to see if they've caught Travis Decker. They haven't yet. But what a lot of the sources are talking about is this court audio that has been obtained. And I'm trying to get this article. Give me 1 second. These freaking ads are a pain in the butt. Like, you can't read it because the ad's in the way. And then when you scroll up, the ad comes back down. So this is Daily Mail. So this is from today. It was updated 15:54. So about 2 hours ago. So chilling new audio has revealed fugitive father Travis Decker pleaded for more custody time to go camping with his daughters just months before he was accused of brutally murdering them at a campsite. In the audio, which is from a September 2024 custody hearing, Decker makes an eerie promise that no harm would come to the girls if he's given more time to take them camping in Washington State's wilderness. Decker, who remains wanted and is on the run, is charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder and first-degree kidnapping after he disappeared with Peyton 9, Evelyn 8, and Olivia 5 during a court-ordered visitation on May 30th. Okay, I'm not going to get into their deaths. His visitation time with the girls had earlier been reduced after his ex-wife raised concerns over his declining mental health, alleged endangerment, and lack of stability. She was given near full custody, while Decker, who was only allowed to visit every other weekend for a set number of hours. Frustrated with the lack of time with his daughters, Decker pled with the family court judge to restore access to the girls, claiming he'd never put them in danger. Every time I've had the girls, we have been in campsites in national forests and paid campsites that have campers. We've never done anything that was unsafe or anything I wouldn't want to put myself in. I understand that my current position when I'm by myself isn't ideal, but my daughters aren't a part of that. I only get to see them over the weekends, and camping is something that the 4 of us have done since the 3 of them were in diapers. He emphasized again that he's never put his daughters at risk and brings them to campsites that are, quote, sold out. All right, Daily Mail, this is the wrong spelling of campsites. I've never done anything I feel like that puts them in any sort of a risk that most families in the state of Washington, Every campsite we've been to in the last month have been almost completely booked out or sold out because everybody's out there this time of year. When I stepped away from the National Guard, I was making $86,000 a year, and now I make, I think it's like $38,000 a year. When you start over from zero and you don't have help in a hand to get you through, it makes it a lot more difficult. The judge responded stating, "That's not stable. Whether it's an RV, a tent, an Airbnb, or motel, that's not stability for these children. That's always a concern for the court." In the audio, Decker tells the judge that he should have the opportunity to be there for his daughters. "I already only get a day and a half, 2 days with my daughters, and it's 2 nights," Decker says in the audio. "It's a Friday night, Saturday night, and because of my current job and the current location, I'm in Idaho working. Where the work is where I come, and through the new parenting plan, it takes away basically all my opportunities to be around the girls when I'm not at work." Let's see. "I feel like I should be able to be there for them and not have to find my way to be around my daughters. The young children..." I'm not going to get into that. Decker had a history of escalating violence, according to his brother, who revealed Travis's violent reaction when his family attempted to hold an intervention. Thomas, 35, told the Daily Mail exclusively that his brother's actions are unrecognizable from when they were children, and begged him to, quote, "stop this evil and turn himself in" after the bodies of his children were found. Let's see what this, I'm going to just look at this, what his brother said. So it says, Travis Decker's desperate attempt to get family back. Okay, well, that's kind of... So it says, Whitney Decker, the fugitive father's ex-wife and mother of their late daughters, said she had no indication that he could be on the verge of carrying out a heinous act when he arrived to pick up their girls for their scheduled 3-hour visit. He was only supposed to have them for 3 hours? Wow, I thought, so based on what my understanding was that he had them for the weekend, because he picked them up on Friday, and I thought that they weren't reported missing until... Hold on a second. No, I'm not remembering. Okay, so they were reported missing on Friday. Okay, for some reason, I thought that he had them, he was going to have them for the weekend. So that was my mistake. So he was only supposed to have them for 3 hours, and he never brought them back, which makes sense because the medical examiner had said that she placed the, or he or she placed the time of death as Friday. Last week, he tried to reconcile our marriage and had even made comments to the girls about him moving back in, Whitney wrote in a June 3rd court filing obtained by KXLY News, and I rejected his advancements. The grieving mother said she knew her daughters were in substantial danger when Travis failed to return them after his visitation and begged police to issue an Amber Alert. However, authorities informed her that the case failed to meet the requirements. Daily Mail has approached the police department for comment on the alleged decision to decline an alert. Travis, an Afghanistan veteran, had suffered from complex PTSD and other mental health issues. Whitney blames a failure of the adequate support for the killings. In a statement from her attorney, I'll read this again. We had gotten into this before. In a statement from her attorney, Ariana Kozar, Whitney alleged this was a tragedy that could have been completely avoided had officials intervened. She believes something broke inside of Travis and that he would not have done what he did if he was himself. He clearly had some sort of break, and everything that he had been living with, everything that had been bottled up inside of him for so long as far as trauma, just won out. Travis was diagnosed with complex PTSD and borderline personality disorder after leaving active military service. The attorney also noted that it was uncharacteristic of Travis not to return his daughters after a scheduled visitation. His declining mental health and out-of-character behavior should have prompted enough concern for an Amber Alert. She believes authorities should have acknowledged the sisters were missing and in substantial danger, even though Travis, quote, didn't issue an overt threat. We may never know if it could have meant the difference between life and death for those girls, but it could have made a huge difference. On June 3rd, Whitney filed for an order of protection against her ex-husband, citing escalating behaviors in the weeks leading up to their daughter's disappearance, as reported by KXLY News. He had seemed better, then it seemed like things just started happening one after another, the mother wrote in the filing describing the actions that led to the legal request. But a supervisor at his construction job told Whitney shortly after her ex-husband vanished that he seemed, quote, on the brink of something extreme earlier that day while on the job. The protection order filing also revealed that Travis, for months, had been receiving daily on-the-phone counseling from a pastor in Georgia, but the calls abruptly ended just 4 weeks before the killings. Travis had also wrecked his uninsured car in the weeks leading up to the murders, which Whitney said only led to more erratic behavior. In the new document, Travis is said to have called his children after the car crash to tell them, quote, he was going to jail. He then apologized to Whitney on the doorstep of her home. A week before the senseless murders, Travis attempted to rekindle his relationship with Whitney and made several calls to his brother to reconcile theirs as well, as they had not spoken to each other for years. He also called his father. The search for 32-year-old Travis intensified this week as more than 100 Chelan County Sheriff's Office officers scoured hundreds of square miles of the Rock Island campground in the Okanagan-Wenatchee National Forest in the Cascade Mountains. Yet, despite their exhaustive efforts by land, water, and air, he remains missing. So there we have it. He is still... Hey, Apothecary. He is still out there. Some speculate he may be very close to the Canadian border. The last we heard, law enforcement had him surrounded. And that was last week. That was like the newest. Oh, here's 2 hours ago. This is USA Today. Manhunt for Travis Decker continues more than 2 weeks later. Just going to skim through this and see if there's anything that we haven't. Okay, so it says on June 16th, Wenatchee Mayor Mike Poirier released a statement to Fox 13 News calling the case worse than a, quote, nightmare and reminding people to take care of one another no matter the circumstances. Everybody has nightmares, but can you imagine this is beyond a nightmare? This is something that should affect us. Never forget and remember to support each other in a time of need and even in not a time of need. Oh, thanks, Sinner. I appreciate that. Let me get over on this other screen. It's going to be a crazy trials in both cases. Yeah, and Koberger is supposed to start soon too, right? So that's it for Travis Decker. Oh, somebody had, so I had done this is like completely on a different note. I had done a YouTube short, gosh, maybe a year ago, about a man who had killed this woman, and he was just convicted. So I need to go back and check my short, and then maybe I still am planning on doing an update live of all the, the older cases that I've done. I just need time to do it. So I figure once school's out, I can get that going. All right. Well, thanks for being here. I probably won't be live tomorrow. I'm going to say probably Friday. Oh, you know what? Maybe we'll do a live on Thursday for Juneteenth. We'll do, something not case related, maybe just, different stories about, the abolition of slavery. Fun fact, when I was in college for my undergraduate degree, my thesis was on slavery in the North and South, because we tend to hear about, slavery in the southern states, but there was domestic slavery in the northern states. So that's something that I have always been interested in, and something that I'm very glad was abolished, though there's different types of slavery these days, mostly with trafficking and things like that. So anyways, I'll plan to do a live on Thursday in honor of Juneteenth. So I hope everyone has a great rest of your day, night, morning, wherever you may be. If you are watching this on the replay, #replay. And if I don't see you, Sinner, are you going live later? Sinner might be going live later. So, oh, it looks like, you know what? Let me look quick before I go. Let's see. Brian Koberger. Oh, it does say that the DoorDash driver is expected to testify. That's one of the stories. 20 hours ago, search underway for knife. Oh, here, 7 days ago, it says prosecutors oppose delay in Brian Koberger murder trial. You know what, let me give me 1 second. I'm going to sort these by date. Okay, so here it says Brian Koberger's legal team seeks trial delay over media coverage. Let me share this. Present. Share screen. So this is from KHQ. Koberger's defense seeks to delay trial. So Brian Koberger's attorneys are set to argue for a delay in his trial on Wednesday. Okay, when is this written? Oh, that's tomorrow. Okay, so his attorneys are set to argue for a delay in his trial on Wednesday. They cite extensive media coverage and recent leaks as reasons for the postponement. So I would assume that is what was it? Not Dateline. Nightline? I can't remember. Prosecutors, however, are pushing for the trial to commence in August. They emphasize the importance of the victims' families receiving justice without further delay. I agree with that. Prosecutors highlighted that it has been more than 2 years since Koberger was arrested. They believe the trial should proceed as scheduled to ensure timely justice for those affected. The decision on whether the trial will be postponed remains pending as both sides present their arguments. Oh, and that was it. So that was it. All right. So I guess we'll know more tomorrow if the trial is going to be delayed. I would say no. And just quick, it does say the DoorDash driver in Koberger case expects to testify at trial. She, quote, saw Brian. It says the 44-year-old woman told police following a traffic stop last year in Pullman, Washington, that she delivered food to the home at 1122 King Road in Moscow moments before the 4 undergraduates were killed. She also told an officer with the Pullman Police Department that she may be called to the stand in the high-profile trial, according to video of the conversation and body-worn camera footage posted to YouTube. What? Now I have to testify in the big murder case too, the woman said, and clarified it was the incident involving the young college students in Moscow. I'm the DoorDash driver. I saw Brian. I parked right next to him. The Idaho Statesman is not naming the woman, who hasn't widely identified herself as the driver. The Moscow woman's account of delivering food for DoorDash matches that of recent court filings in the closely watched case that stated the driver's initials are MM. In addition, a private investigator who worked on behalf of Goncalves' parents told them that the DoorDash driver was female. Steve Goncalves, the victim's father, told the Statesman in his text message Monday. In March, Koberger's defense submitted a legal brief that said an expert witness for the prosecution will testify that their client had no connection to the residents of the home, including the 4 victims, nor the DoorDash driver, among others affiliated with the case. DoorDash did not respond Monday to an emailed request from the Statesman to a corporate press contact. 2 listed phone numbers for MM didn't go through, and an email to her from the Statesman went unanswered on Monday. That's interesting. Cuddle says, I wanted to watch the Holly Bobo documentary. It's on my app, but for some reason it's not streaming. Somebody mentioned, was it you, Cuddle, that mentioned Holly Bobo in a previous live of mine? Yeah, I'm wondering if they have an idea of where the knife could be. But I mean, it would be good if they can. I mean, she says she saw him, but did she say she saw him back when they interviewed her, when it happened? I mean, that's the first I'm hearing of it, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen. Lunatic says, I'm worried they're taking so long personally. I think both were unfair trials. She should... Wait. Lunatic, who are you referring? Did I miss a comment? Oh, Karen Reed. Okay. I did see that the jury, I did watch a short clip. The jury had 3 questions. So the judge answered the questions. She revised the verdict slip to be a little less complicated. But they were back deliberating. So that's all I know. That's all I know. So with that, have a great rest of your day, night, morning, wherever you may be. And if I don't see you on these YouTube streets, I will see you on the flip side.
You have one shot on stage, what you got to play. Generic drops for days, still the people rage. Am I not insane? Can you stop and explain why these drops are so lame? Is money buying you fame? I'm fucking on, I'm killing it with this song. You haters can sing along or go back where you belong. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with giving up, moving on. Cause I took your girl to prom, she can't help but sing this song. Comes off till the lights go out, till my legs give out. Can't shut my mouth till the smoke clears out. Am I high harassed? I'ma rip this shit till my bones collapse. Till the roof comes off, till the lights go out, till my legs give out. Can't shut my mouth till the smoke clears out. Am I high harassed? I'ma rip this shit till my bones collapse. So on like a light switch, flirting back. There's nothing wrong with the way that she's working that. I just want that body bad. Come on baby, bring it back. I'm so gone, faded off a 30 rack. She's so on like a light switch, flirting back. There's nothing wrong with the way that she's working that. I just want that body bad. Come on baby, bring it back. I rap with a passion, yeah, I got it in me. I've been waiting quite a long time for y'all to hear me. It's about damn time you put some stock into me. You're either sponsoring me or fucking bothering me. And the fact is, we just practice on this madness. That is why your status is like a canvas. Chances our advancement is enhancing, and this new expansion's like a mansion. Comes off till the lights go out, till my legs give out. Can't shut my mouth till the smoke clears out. Am I high harassed? I'ma rip this shit till my bones collapse. Till the roof comes off, till the lights go out, till my legs give out. Can't shut my mouth till the smoke clears out. Am I high harassed? I'ma rip this shit till my bones collapse.